Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. 888-713-2929 is our telephone number, and you can use that number to give us a call. You can also email us, info@malibufunding.net. We're on YouTube. We have our own new website where you can go right now and see past shows as well as this show coming up. It's called themortgagevoice.com, and we, of course, are on television. We're on KMET website every week. The show airs there as well as on radio, which is terrific. So if you need to see us in many different ways, in many different places, you can certainly do that. We bring information about mortgages, about mortgage rates, about programs, about all kinds of things that deal with mortgages, whether it's in the real estate world, whether it's in the economy as a whole in general, those things out there affecting you and your decisions on whether you want to buy, whether you want to sell, whether you even want to get into the mortgage industry as somebody who wants to work in it. There are all kinds of opportunities out there for you in order to get a mortgage now, obviously with rates rising. And one of the things I wanted to get into absolutely right now is rates are rising. Why are they rising? Why are they going to continue to rise? Is this a good thing? How come I can't get a mortgage? Rates are rising and prices on real estate are high and I can't seem to afford anything. I'm stuck in the rental merry-go-round whereby every week, every year, the items that I need to do in order to get a mortgage to buy a house keep changing. What can you do about all this stuff? Well, unfortunately, as we move into what they call a very, they have it here in some of the notes I have about what the state of the economy is. It is humming on all cylinders. I'm sure you've heard that one. Or it's roaring, or it's never going to get any better. All these are descriptions of what's happening in the economy in general in the U.S. Now, we're talking about trillions of dollars worth of goods bought and sold each and every quarter here in the U.S. And as a result of that, certain things happen. The employment is up, and therefore what we need to understand about that is when there's a demand for certain types of jobs, when there's a demand for industries, when there's employment that goes unfilled, the actual press upon an employer to pay the people they have more money goes up. That's called inflation. If we have housing, which is tight, meaning that there isn't a lot of it, and we have a lot of new people making more money as a result of the tight labor market, people who want to buy a house have to pay more. That's just general supply and demand. In most cities, and if you live, of course you lived in Southern California, San Bernardino, Riverside counties is where our show is being broadcast each and every week. KMET, KCAA, the Roadrunner, also up in Northern California and Nevada at K Tahoe. Glad to have them aboard as a recent affiliate of ours. When you have these things happen, cities themselves are responsible for bringing new housing to the market. It's part of their overall city plan. And for those of you who do not know it, San Bernardino, let's take the city of San Bernardino. They have a plan by which they have to maintain, according to state law, and obviously the counties and the cities themselves require that there is a general housing plan. Okay, there's a housing plan. And within that housing plan are plans for low-income housing, affordable housing, as well as the way they zone the city to make sure that there's enough available land from the inventory of land that they have, which can be built. Now, in a lot of cities, if you meet the criteria, which is in the plan over at Building and Safety, according to the planning department, you can build apartments, or you can build housing, or you can build units or single-family residences. But most cities nowadays have gone to a per unit or per house format, whereby instead of having someone like myself, let's say I want to build a house. I go to the city, I match all the requirements that are needed, and I give them, what they need, and they give me a permit, and I build a house. In LA County, it's actually pretty good, and they've actually increased some of the issuance of permits based on the increasingly difficult way by which they're going to be able to do it, i.e. they require more. But if you go to a city like San Bernardino and you want to build a house, they want to look at each project individually rather than have a uniform way by which you can go out and build a house, which means that each project has its own idiosyncrasies. For instance, I live over near the beach, right? And when I tried to build a garage to my house, I wanted to build a house with a garage, and it didn't have a garage, so I wanted to build a garage. The city of Malibu, California, made me do an environmental impact report. Now, we live in a canyon, and within the canyon, on this area that I live, there are 800 houses. The environmental impact of my less than 1 acre development, I wanted to add a garage. They had me spend, not only spend the money, and I think the report was $1,500, but they also had me take 3 to 6 months to develop the report, because I have to go and find somebody to write a report. And what they want is a negative impact report. They want the report to say that of what you're going to do, no environmental issue will be affected. Well, if you look at that, just one aspect of what I'm doing to build a garage, which is a non-habitable structure, right? Nobody's going to live in it. I just want to put my car in it. So each city has their own way to slow down development. Now, why is this important? Because we're dealing in 2018 here in February with a housing shortage in all of Southern California, and I dare say most of America. And if we're out there trying to limit the ability of anyone to build by making people go through each individual step slowly, and by requiring way over the amount which should be required in order to get a permit, what you're doing is you're limiting the supply of housing in the marketplace. Therefore, the existing houses obviously have to cost more. And if you're a new person right out of college and you're, making pretty good money, economy's good, it's humming, as I said, it's on all cylinders, but yet you still can't find a house to buy in your price range. Let's say you get out of college and making $60,000, $70,000 a year, and you want to get married, and your combined income might be $100,000, $140,000 a year. You still have to qualify for a house that's just way out of your price range. Why? Because nobody's allowed to build, and let alone the single family house. What about the developer and those dreaded developers, right, that nobody seems to want because they impact, the schools, and they impact the roads and the infrastructure, and all they're in is to get their money and get out of the city as quickly as possible. Well, most development here in Southern California hasn't been done like that for 25 to 30 years. Why? Because there are so many exactions, so many things that a developer has to do in order to actually get to develop a property. This, too, has slowed down. Where's this article? I cut out an article today. Oh, it's up in San Francisco. Now, San Francisco's its own, bailiwick, right? Its own ball of wax. But if you go up to San Francisco, there's a project wending its way through. I think they wanted originally 2,500 homes. It's now down to 1,100 homes. And it keeps getting whittled down because of the nature of the way that cities, not the state, not the federal government, but the cities themselves limit development. And so this particular development being held up since 2014 because, like my own house, the environmental impact report wasn't done to a specification that needed to be done, so that this 2,500, now 1,100 house project in a city that needs more housing than they can shake a stick at can't get done. Why? Because the cities won't allow it. So there is a solution out there, and we'll get to it again in another segment. Anyway, thanks for tuning in this week. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to The Mortgage Voice with Jeff Barton. We'll be right back with more in just a moment. For questions or comments, send emails to info@malibufunding.net. Now, back to The Mortgage Voice with your host, Jeff Barton.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. The telephone number here is 888-713-2929, and we are available right now to answer your questions. A lot of people are asking questions about mortgages right now. Why? Because they want to get it before the rates go up. And by the way, rates are going to go up. They're going to go up for several reasons. One of the main reasons they're going to go up is inflation. And some of the inflation that's affecting your world you're probably already aware of. As you've seen in the last month, gas prices have gone up 26 cents per gallon. Now, I was recently traveling in several areas. One of the areas out of state I was in was Portland, Oregon, and the cost of gas up there is $1 cheaper. And, Oregon doesn't pump oil. We do in California. We actually have our own oil wells. We actually have our own refineries. Yet the state government has seen fit once again to raise gas taxes in order to pay for many of the things that, if you're like me, you question, scratch your head and going, really, do we need to do that? Or why do I got to pay for it? That's always my response. As a lot of people know who do listen to the show, I'm from Massachusetts, and we call ourselves Yankee cheap out there. So if I've got money and I'm supposed to spend it on something, I really want to get my dollar's worth. And I don't know if we actually do here in California, but these are some of the things that are affecting both the real estate prices, but predominantly or more importantly, they're going to affect your mortgage rate. Mortgage rates are currently 4.5%, 30-year fixed rates, and that is expected to go up several times. The Fed is already talking, because of inflation, of rates for short-term loans, for payday loans, for car notes. It's called the Fed funds rate. It's called when you talk about the Fed is going to raise rates, this is what it affects. And they're talking 4 more rate hikes this year, 3 more next year. So if it stands true that it's quarter point raise, and by the way, that usually is followed or preceded by mortgage rate rises, even though it's not tied specifically to the Fed rate, it's more tied to the 10-year Treasury notes. And anybody who's looking at the Treasury notes today will see that it's, and we're talking here about the yield, that means the government has to offer a certain amount of money for people to buy debt from the U.S. government. They're called Treasury notes. The 10-year note is about 2.75%, 2.75%. Now that's, you may say, well, 2.75%. Well, it was down below 2 years ago. It was around 1%. So you can see that kind of raise obviously is going to cause the mortgage rates to rise, because if you're selling debt, you got to make up the debt somewhere. So in order to do that, government-backed securities, mortgage-backed securities rather, are going to have to be sold at a higher rate, which means the yield on mortgages themselves has to be higher, which also is going to affect your rate. So if you're out there right now and you are sitting on the fence for a refi, guess what? I've been saying it for years till I'm blue in the face. I'm actually not blue in the face, but regardless, you better do that refi right now. Because the rates will go up, and they're going to go up several times this year. I won't be surprised if we see 5% by July. I was thinking 5% late last year, and we got, I don't know, for whatever reason, rates dipped down. But now that we've got an economy, as I said in the earlier part of the show, the economy is doing very well, and the fact that the economy is doing well is affecting a lot of inflationary pressures, which are, again, raising rates. So, again, if you're out there and you're listening to the show and you're trying to figure out what you can do right now, look around for something to buy. Look around for something to refi. If you have a house or an apartment or someplace whereby you're renting it out on a daily basis, weekly, monthly, you want to make sure that you get into the market now, because rates are going up and prices on real estate are going up. I wanted to talk right now. There's a couple articles out that are really important to understand about the housing crisis. And what we talk about a housing crisis now, it's not what we talked about 10 years ago, i.e., falling prices through the floor because of the mortgage meltdown. What we're talking about now is the fact that there's an unavailability of housing and prices are going up. So the California, and I'm going to quote this article, California Housing Crisis in Perspective. Living in a vehicle is obviously better than living in a tent or a box. It's kind of middle-class homelessness. But in affluent Santa Barbara and elsewhere, the ever-present convoys are another sign of growing income inequality and one of the state's most vexing problems. I don't know if it's income inequality, But if you're in any major metropolitan area, along a lot of thoroughfares, you're going to see cars and RVs and all kinds of vehicles in between with people living in them. I know that in Santa Ana, California, there's a huge issue with this, as well as there is on the Coast Highway, as well as there are in Riverside. People living in vehicles. Now, again, it's better than living on the street, but this is a problem. And as we tried to tackle in an earlier segment, housing is about being able to build affordable housing for people who need a place to go. It's not homelessness, it's houselessness. So if you're going to be able to tackle a problem which exists, you have to make the process easier. I've said many times before, and there was even a law passed in California that said it should be easier for you, if you own a home, to build a what do they call it? What do they call it, Daryl, when it's a nanny or a granny or another unit on your property?
They just call them a mother-in-law flat or a granny flat.
Right, a granny flat. Okay. So if that is one of the solutions that we have for houselessness here in Southern California, and the state has passed a law, we need to get by the cities and towns and municipalities and unincorporated county areas which make it impossible. Why? Because locally, nobody wants to have huge housing complex in their area. Nobody wants to have more people living in their area. But it is a problem if your child, if your relative, if someone you know can't afford to buy a house or can't afford the rent in the neighborhood. Listening to a local talk radio show myself, their answer was move to South Carolina, move to South Dakota. But the realistic nature of that, if you've got a ton of family here, it's just not going to happen. You're going to want to live around where people you know and where you grew up. And if you grew up, let's say you grew up in Rancho Santa Margarita, Rancho Cucamonga, in any of these places where 25 years ago, prices were reasonable. You could get into a property for $200,000, $250,000. Not anymore. It's $500,000 to $600,000 in those places. And I don't know about you, but that's a lot of money, especially if you're talking about now 5% interest rates versus 3% interest rates. Okay, I also want to talk about, and I'm going to talk about right now, earlier segment, we talked about the problem up in San Francisco. I just want to read a couple things. There's a project up there. It's called the 26th Balboa Reservoir Project. Okay, and this is a project I talked about. They wanted to build 2,500 homes, reasonably priced homes, to try to exacerbate this issue about houselessness. And we need more products, so let's build more. So back in 2014, they were asked to produce several reports, right? Developers are always the worst people in the world when it comes to raping and pillaging those of us who live in an area. And there are so many people who consider development the worst thing that ever happened. So these people went out, and now the project is 1,100 homes, as I said. And what they were trying to talk to the cities and the local municipalities about is, hey, look, if we've got a solution and we can afford to build these number of houses, we have to get this many units in order to make it work on paper, in order to spend the money to make the development, to bring in the houses that are so desperately needed. But the whole idea about development for this community in San Francisco, who desperately needs housing. I mean, we talked to Julie Peisner up there, and she tells me that in the boondocks, people are spending huge. $1 million is like entry level in a lot of places in San Francisco, which is, you're pricing out of the market anybody who works there. If you drive a truck, if you're a nurse, a school teacher, there is no way that you can live in San Francisco if you need to buy a house. Anyway, a lot of this stuff is just aggravating to me, because in the long run, if we're going to solve a problem here in Southern California, in Nevada, where, again, the housing crisis is acute, how are we going to do it without local communities working out the issues with local residences rather than just fighting against it at every turn? I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Mortgage Voice with Jeff Barton. We'll be right back with more in just a moment. For more information on today's topic, email Jeff Barton at info@malibufunding.net. Now, back to The Mortgage Voice with your host, Jeff Barton.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. 888-713-2929 is our telephone number. Pick up the phone and give us a call. We talk mortgages. We talk how to get a mortgage, how to get into this real estate market. I'm making this amount of money. What do I have to do to get a mortgage? And what do I have to do to qualify for a mortgage? You know, there's only 6 pieces of paper that you need to give me, and I can give you an estimate on a lot of different loan products. We've been talking on the show today about housing and about the affordability and about the availability, and is there any availability, and oh my gosh, my kids are getting out of college, how am I going to get them into a home? And you know, people are kind of freaking out because the market is quite a bit different now than it has been in many, many years, maybe over a decade. We have a lack of housing, and house prices are going up, and the economy is doing well, and mortgage rates going up. So what do we do today? Well, we brought someone on right now, and we'll bring someone on who's never been on the show before, but works for Open Mortgage and has a lot of good solutions for us. That would be, of course, Carol Olmos. Carol, how are you today?
Hi, Jeff. I'm fine. Thank you so much, number one, for inviting me to be part of your show today. Appreciate that.
No, thank you very much. We try to help people and give them information on mortgages, mortgage products. Tell us a little bit about Open Mortgage and what you guys do that might be able to help some of these people who are looking for a mortgage.
Okay. Well, first of all, let me tell you a little bit about myself so that you know when I'm communicating about this, you have a general idea of who I am and how I can offer, help to some of you brokers out there that are looking for new business. So, first of all, as Jeff mentioned, my name's Carol Olmos, and I've been a pioneer in this industry since 1999 with Great Western Bank. Started with them.
Oh my gosh, Great Western! Wow.
You're
going back.
Myself.
You know, I dug up an old Great Western card about, 2 months ago that I had in an old wallet. I went, oh my gosh, I haven't heard of this bank in forever. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
That's okay. But yeah, because that does take you way back.
Yep.
And I've worked for some of the other, bank. They closed their door. Great Western closed their doors in 2004. So of course I moved around to other companies like Home Savings. The
Yep.
other one will age me.
Yeah.
New Century and some of the others out there. And I've been from a position from processor to ops management. So I've been through this industry, and it's good times and the bad times. And one thing I know is our knowledge and our experience will always carry us through.
Yeah, I agree with that. Open Mortgage, tell me about them and give us an idea of the products they might offer.
Okay, so one of our specialty products is the reverse mortgage right now, and I feel like because of the interest rates going up so much on the forward side, this really puts more of a generalization on let's start switching gears. What else can we do to, maybe supplement the income that we're not getting on the forward side? Let's see the mechanics of how the reverse works so we can maybe start getting interested in sharing this, knowing about it, and being able to share it and offer this. So the reverse mortgages, they're their specialty product, as I mentioned. And I think it's just more of a sense of learning and teaching our broker partners how to use it, how to maximize it. That way you're now becoming this teachable person to the clientele in your sphere of influence. One of the things that we've created here is maybe a new way to target new people, new sphere of influence to start targeting, such as your financial planners, CPAs.
Right. Let me just stop you for a second. If I was a person who wanted to get a reverse mortgage, what are some of the criteria that I would need as an individual? How would I go about getting a reverse mortgage? Give me some of the parameters that are in place right now today for me to do that. Do I have to be an age? Do I have to make no money? I mean, how does it work?
You have to be 62,
okay,
of course, and over, number one requirement. And typically there's got to be enough equity in your property, somewhere in the area of 50% of equity in your home.
Okay.
Okay? Those are the two main criteria. We now have added what they call financial assessment. With that financial assessment, now even though it's not FICO score driven, this product, it's not FICO score driven, and we still have to look at your overall credit profile. So that'll be taken into consideration. But basically, if you were in a foreclosure or you were in a bankruptcy, we can help you get out of both of those. And that's something that's not commonly done in the forward side, whereas if you have a bankruptcy or a foreclosure, trying to get someone out of that can be very difficult, and then you have to adhere to timelines, to time frames in which, we can help them. But
right.
Here, even though you're in the middle of a bankruptcy or foreclosure, we can still help. Got enough equity, 62 and over, we can do this.
Okay, so the equity side of it. Now, I heard that the reverse mortgages had changed some of the criteria, whether it's how much money you can take out or how much money you have to have available in the property. Has it really changed all that much from last year?
It has. It
Okay.
has. Actually, it has a lot to do with, and some of the jargon that people won't relate to unless they know about the mortgage industry, but it did affect the LTVs.
And LTV, of
LTLF.
course, is loan to value. I have a very sophisticated audience. I usually get
Correct.
treatises sent to me each and every week about the complexities in the mortgage industry from my very well-schooled audience. So, yeah, they know about LTV. They know what that is.
Okay, so it had effect. It did, October 2nd, it did affect the LTVs, what we call PLFs in the mortgage industry, which is equal to the LTVs.
Right.
So it went from being 60% to now 50%. So it did have a huge impact in that.
I see.
In that respect, yes. But most of our seniors have at least that 50% or 55% on case-to-case basis where we can still help them out.
Exactly. And where are you seeing most of the growth in the reverse mortgages? Is it here in Southern California? And I assume your Open Mortgage is a national company, is that right?
We are. We're national.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I see most of the growth in California. However, I've seen a lot of that business coming from Pennsylvania.
Oh, I see.
Even as far out as Indiana. So the need's there because if you think about it, in the marketplace today, last year rather, 2.1 million baby boomers turned 60. So,
oh, you have to remind me, huh? Yeah, I know. I'm way beyond that, but thank you for bringing up that terrific memory. What's that?
Right there with you.
Oh, excellent. Okay, great. That's perfect.
So it makes me more relatable to customers' needs and being able to, advise our broker partners on how to target what their needs are and how we can maximize and use this to help them out. What I've noticed, to be honest with you, Jeff, is I've noticed that a lot of our 60 and over want to continue working. They don't want
right.
They don't want to retire. They want
Yep.
to continue to work. And I'll tell you what, this product can help them even if they're continuing to work, they should still apply for this type of mortgage because if they stop making their payment and now they have no mortgage payment, what we'd like to do is teach them how to increase their line of credit. When you get a reverse mortgage, depending on the equity in the property, you can either get cash at close or you get a line of credit that you can use after the first year of closing the loan. And what can happen with that line of credit is that line of credit has a growth rate better than any savings account, annuity, any of your financial instruments that you want to use to invest your money on. I mean, who pays 4.9 to 5%?
Right.
That's the interest that you're collecting on this line of credit. And if they took that mortgage payment, now that they've they got a reverse mortgage, now they're not making a mortgage payment. But historically, if they took that payment, let's say $1,000, and they threw it in their line of credit, and now with that growth rate on that, because our line of credit grows. So if you're throwing it at the principal limit, now your line of credit increases, and you're getting that growth rate based on that line of credit. That you will have more money than you know what to do with. Instead of investing in your 401k, which is risky. The market tanks, so does your money.
That's interesting. I really, my interest is piqued by what you just said in terms of taking an equity line of credit and then taking your monthly payment that you would have paid and paying it into the line of credit. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
And then what happens to the amount of money, both as equity line and the extra money you're putting it in? What?
Your line starts to grow. So your line grows, which means your equity growth is going to be based off that line of credit. So you've continued to leverage that line of credit with that, coupled with that growth rate, you're going to be able to make more money on your own money.
Hey, listen, this is terrific information, but we're up against a clock. Carol, this is great information. Can you shout out your phone number in case somebody wants to call you directly, get some more information?
Absolutely. Carol Olmos at Open Mortgage. Best way to reach me is 909 area code 641-1273.
Carol, thank you very much for being on the show. We will have you back. I really appreciated the information, and thanks again.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. And I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Mortgage Voice with Jeff Barton. We'll be right back with more in just a moment. For questions or comments, send emails to info@malibufunding.net. Now, back to The Mortgage Voice with your host, Jeff Barton.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. 888-713-2929 is the telephone number. Pick up the phone and give us a call. We have been talking mortgages, real estate, and we just had a terrific guest, Carol Olmos, on from Open Mortgage talking about reverse mortgage products. There's a lot of different ways that we can skin this cat out here, but main focus of what we're trying to do is to bring information to you so that you can make better decisions on buying and selling real estate. I know it's tough out there. I know the prices are high. I know mortgage rates are going high. We're trying to make sure that you have the information at hand so that you can make the best possible decisions. Obviously, with the economy doing better than it has done in 10 years, this is a good thing. You're making more money. So as things always occur, inflation happens when prices are going up, and if you're making more money, that means that they're obviously going to want more of that money, whether it's the state, federal, local governments, or whether it's the corner store on the block who just wanted to raise their Twinkie prices by a dime. And believe me, I live at the gas station and I eat out of the gas station, so when that muffin goes up another 10 or 15 cents, I notice it. So if you're like me and you're living, obviously aware of prices, you're aware of inflation, and so I'm aware of it too, and we try to bring information for you guys that can help you make better decisions. We are very happy for the first time right now to bring on to the show the general manager for KMET, one of our affiliates, and one of the people that we're, real happy to broadcast our show, Mitch McClellan. Mitch, how are you?
Great, Jeff. Thanks for having me on.
And thank you very much for being on the show. Okay, tell us a little bit about the radio station, the areas you might cover, and some of the things that you're bringing to the marketplace, which is exciting according to what you think we need out here.
Well, we're based in the Inland Empire. We're in the eastern part of the Inland Empire, out toward Redlands and Utaipa. And really, our coverage area is, Riverside, San Bernardino, the metro area. But we also go down as far as Palm Springs and the desert communities, and have a really strong following down Hemet, Temecula, that way. So all the way down to Corona and Ontario Airport. So really the greater Inland Empire, and as you know, it's very... You say Inland Empire, and people don't realize there's 3 or 4 different regions of it. But they're all growing. That's the one thing they all have in common.
That's good, that you say they're all growing, and you know it better than anybody because you're in the business of obviously getting people to do shows like mine, like a lot of other locals, plus you're reaching many, many different areas. Tell us something about what's going on in the Inland Empire in terms of growth. Where is it? What kind of businesses are there? Who are you guys going after in order to produce new shows?
Well, I guess the place I see it the most, I live in Beaumont.
Okay.
And I'm in Redlands almost every day. So, I'm on the 10 freeway going both directions at least once a day, sometimes more. And I really notice it with the traffic. And I know our salespeople always tell people how many people are on the freeway going back and forth. But I really notice it in the afternoon. It used to be if I could leave Redlands by, 4 o'clock or so, I wouldn't have much problem in terms of traffic getting home to Beaumont. Now, if I leave Redlands later than 3 o'clock, by the time I get on the freeway, I'm going to be feeling it. And I really notice that all of the off-ramps going out east,
Right.
people live out where I do, and they work elsewhere because all of those off ramps are backed up onto the freeway with people getting off to go home in the afternoon and evening.
Oh, you know how annoying that is. I mean, I experience it out here, which is further down, and where I'm up off the 101, but certainly I could get home by the 10 as well. It's annoying. I mean, you're backed up. You have to wait 20, 30 cars deep just to get off the freeway, and we all experience it, and I don't know what the solution is, but I can bet your bottom dollar that Sacramento is going to come up with a new tax for it.
Yeah, you got that right. There's 50 states, and there's only 2 of them everybody wants to live in, and that's
Yep.
Florida and California, and our weather's better than Florida. So.
Yeah, exactly right. Businesses, what's happening in the advertising world in terms of people coming to the show, coming to your station? Are you seeing an uptick in advertising dollars? Are you seeing?
We are.
Okay.
Yeah, and the really interesting thing is, obviously we go out and we look for people, but people are finding us. People
Right.
People will go to the website, or they'll send us emails, or we'll get phone calls from people, not just in the Inland Empire, but people that are in neighboring markets. And when I say neighboring, I'm talking not just Southern California, Phoenix or Las Vegas, or even Reno or the Bay Area. They're people that might be based there, but they're looking at second offices or doing business in our area.
Right. Now, as I told you off air, this is our entrepreneurial section, and we bring people to the show who talk about local businesses and how it works. How does the radio business work in this area? Is it a good business? I know for a while it was tough during the recession, but has it turned back into a growth business for radio markets locally?
It has, and it's like anything else. You get out of it what you put into it, and if you're going to run canned stuff off a satellite all day, like some of the big companies do, well, you're not putting a lot of effort in, and you may not see a lot of response. If you're live and you're local, and you're giving your local audience what you want, it's a good business to be in. And the other thing that we've really found is it's not just radio. It used to be we'd go out and we'd sell you a show on the radio and people would listen to it. We still do that. But now we've got, people can listen on the radio. They can go to our website and listen there. They can download our apps and listen on the phone anywhere in the world. They can listen to a podcast. And as you know, with KMET TV, we're doing more video now, too.
Yeah, I really like that component of it. I like the fact that you're willing to adapt. I know some of the businesses that are out there can't adapt because it's a cost issue, or they don't want to because they just, haven't gotten used to the new way of doing business. But do you see inroads to your business from the internet and internet radio stations, or is it mostly what you're doing where you're in all kinds of different media, whether it's broadcast, whether it's, over the internet or other venues?
I definitely, we're making inroads, and when we talk to clients, it's not just selling them advertising or just selling them a program. They're going to get that, but they're also they're going to get a combo. I mean, if they can advertise with us, and we can put commercials on the radio. We can also give them a presence on our website. We have freeway billboards that we work with. So there's a number of different areas that they can target people, and that's the exciting thing. It's not just one thing anymore. It gets us in a lot of different areas.
Now, when you go after, or you look for new businesses to go after, are you looking at the demographics that you're obviously broadcasting to, or are you just going out there into the business community and looking for somebody who wants to do a show? I mean, are you looking at, say, hey, these are millennials, so we need to gear what we're doing towards millennials? Like, for instance, this show that's on your station, we deal with mortgages, so it's kind of uniform all throughout. Anybody that wants to get a house has to get a mortgage. So we sort of play on a lot of different ways. But do you specifically go after certain demographic groups for the programming that you want to produce on your show, on your station?
We don't necessarily go after them, but those are the ones that find us. And when we talk to people, the ones we have the most success with are people that own their own businesses, or they're decision makers, and that they're at a place in their business or their life where they've got some discretionary income, and they're the ones that are making the decision. They don't have to get it approved by 5 people above them before they can do anything. They kind of control their own fate, and those are the people we really like to work with because they're hands-on, and so are we.
Do you help people if I know I'm pitching because I just love being on your station, like the opportunity to reach people. I could never do it before. We've been on the air for a long time. People say that the show sounds professional, but let's say you're out there and you say, I want to do this. How would they get experience doing it? And is there someone at the station that might be able to guide them along a little bit?
Yeah, I would say, if you talk to our salespeople, a lot of people, a lot of people actually start on internet radio, and then when they find out they don't get the response that they want, and they want to make the big move to, radio where there actually is an audience out there, and they're getting sponsors to support it and advertise. Yeah, what we tell people is, as long as, you've got a budget, and you can sit down and budget for your show, as far as the airtime, and you can sell your own sponsorships, or you can sell segments to people. But the other thing that really makes it nice when you're doing that is, we can help you if you want to do the show from your office every week. If you want to produce it at your home, or if you want to go into the studio and do that, you've got those options. Anybody with a good computer and a microphone and an internet connection can do a show now.
Oh, that's excellent. Hey, listen, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you in order to be able to do exactly what you just said, how would they do that?
I would say give us a phone call at the radio station, and we'll certainly set you up with somebody that can talk to you. It'll probably be our sales manager, Bill Bruns, will give you a call, and if you call Bill or email him, he's the best place to start. You can email him at Bill, BILL, at KMET1490am.com, and he'll certainly get back to you.
Hey.
Or if you prefer to give him a call, you can do that as well. But I'd suggest the email. That's an easy way for him to get in touch with you, and you'll definitely get a response.
Bill, Mitch, thank you very much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. We always like to have our partners and people that we do business with on the show. It gives us a great feeling, and we're really pleased that you did that. Thanks very much.
Well, we love having you on the station, and our success is your success, Jeff. So
exactly.
Continue to do a great job. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And this is Mitch McClellan, who is the general manager over at KMET. And I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Mortgage Voice with Jeff Barton. We'll be right back with more in just a moment. For more information on today's topic, email Jeff Barton at info@malibufunding.net. Now, back to The Mortgage Voice with your host, Jeff Barton.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. 888-713-2929 is the telephone number. Pick up the phone, give us a call. We talk mortgages, we talk real estate, we talk availability of housing or lack thereof. Rising mortgage interest rates, that's this week's show, because guess what? That is what's happening. So if you're out there and you're listening to the show and you're wondering what's happening with the mortgage interest rates and if you should get off the couch finally and either do that refi or maybe get out there and buy that property that you always wanted to buy, now is the time. We're looking at 4 different rate hikes this year from the Fed. Now, I know that doesn't directly affect mortgage rates, but if you're looking at the 10-year Treasury notes today, the yield is up to 2.75%, which means that if they're selling debt with that kind of yield, we have to also raise interest rates. Somebody's got to pay for that debt. Somebody's got to make the yields impressive so that people buy the debt. Anyway, for those of you out there who are just wanting to get a mortgage, today is a great day. We have another terrific guest on the show from Lone Stream. He's been on the show several times. I always enjoy his insight and the products that he brings to the show. Thomas Trujillo from Lone Stream. Tomas, how are you?
Hey, Jeff, I'm doing great, buddy. How are you today?
I'm just terrific. Thank you very much. I don't know if you heard or were listening at all to what I was just saying. What's your take on what's happening with the mortgage interest rates? Just right off the top, where do you think we're heading with these by June, July, and the end of the year?
Well, we're definitely going up there, like you had said. We do have the mortgage rates coming. But I don't really think it's going to matter too much. We have products out there. People are still going to buy. Where else would you rather live but right here in California? Best place in the world to be. Our weather, you can't beat it.
You know what? I'm absolutely there with you. As you know, we're broadcast in several areas. We just brought on a new affiliate up in Tahoe, in California and Nevada. So the Inland Empire, Tahoe, Vegas, Southern California is still the envy of all those places to come and live.
Absolutely, absolutely. And with programs that you got these days, why wouldn't you want to buy?
Tell me a program that I'd love to be able to get into right now. Give me your best shot at what you guys think would really be attractive to a first-time home buyer or somebody in the market.
How would you like this, Jeff? If I told you you can buy a home with no money down, as a matter of fact, Jeff, that money you put down as a down payment, we're going to give that back to you. We don't want your money. How does that sound to you?
You know what? That sounds like a commercial. I think you should use that as a commercial. This is a no money down deal, and if you want to give a deposit, we'll give it back to you later. Okay, what's the program? What's the bottom line to this? How does one qualify?
It's our Cal HAFA program,
Right.
where we do a first FHA, we'll do a second where we give you the down payment, we'll do a third where we give you your money for the closing costs, and we're going to make it a little sweeter for you. How about if you don't have to pay on that second or that third for the life of the loan till you sell or refi the property?
That is a great deal. What are the loan limits?
You know what? I'm going to go off the high balance. How does that sound?
That's even better. Okay, explain high balance to the listener who doesn't know.
Well, you know, typically you used to be able to get a loan up to 417.
Yep.
That's been raised. So now we're going up to 632 now, correct?
That's exactly right. So your high balance loan, 632. This sounds like an unbelievable deal. How are the rates on this? Do they conform to what general, conforming rates are, or is this a different kind of rate? I know Cal HAFA is a state program, right?
Correct. And I'll even do it a little better. You want to buy in Nevada? We also do the Nevada equivalent of the Cal HAFA.
Okay, what's that one called?
You know what? Offhand,
I know
don't
what
a
it's
whole lot.
called, and I can't remember it either. We talked about it last week on the show, and for some reason, it's just gone right out of my head because it's not like Cal HAFA is easy to remember. This one is not. It's the Nevada residential blah 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 kind of loan.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Right, exactly. So this is an income-driven program, or is this a first-time home buyers program? What's the qualification?
This is a first-time home buyer program. So
Right.
No, you can't own a home in the last 3 years or take any mortgage interest on a home for the last 3 years. And before, there used to be an income limit as to how many people per household.
Right.
That's gone. Now it's straight up. California, you can make up to $128,000. Doesn't matter how many people or how little people live in the house.
And that's so you can basically be in a house with members of your family. You're all working. You make over $160,000 a year, or is it just 120?
It's 128
Okay.
for the people qualifying. So if you have mom and dad who are working, maybe making about 120 grand, great. You have 2 kids, you bring on mom and grandpa and maybe your sister. Doesn't matter. As long as the people who are the main owners of the home are making a certain amount of money, we're good.
And this particular program is very popular. It came about a few years ago, but they really made it popular last year. And are you seeing a lot of customers coming to the table with, hey, this is and how do you get the word out about this program?
You know, I'm telling all my people,
Right.
it's why would you want to put money down? Times are getting tough. Money's getting tight. The refrigerator just broke. I got to pay for that.
Yep.
Oh, no, I need a car now. There goes my down payment.
Right.
There go my closing costs. What do I do? You know what? We don't need it. Don't worry about it. Malibu Funding and Loan Screen have you covered.
Now, is there a credit requirement on this program?
You know what? All I need is a 640 FICO.
Okay, and 640 FICO is typically right in the middle of most FICO scores that you see, or is it on the low end? Or what do you see out there currently?
You know what? Right now, FICO scores have been getting a little better. So
Right.
right at 640, I don't see a whole lot of 580s like I used to.
Right.
Right now, I think the average has been about 640.
Now, do you think that's because the economy is better and a lot of people are working and paying all their bills? I mean, because we're not seeing debt the way we did 5-7 years ago?
I think that's exactly what it is. Nobody wants to be in debt anymore. People
Right.
are using a lot more cash. They're not getting into all those credit cards, all that debt. I mean, it's a different world.
Now, do you see millennials taking advantage of this, or what's your demographic of people that are taking, I guess, advantage of the Cal HAFA program?
At first, I was doing a lot of them in more urban areas. Now I'm starting to do more in suburban areas.
So give us an idea out in the San Bernardino Riverside area. Where are some of the areas that are really hot for this program?
Hot for this program have been San Bernardino, Moreno Valley.
Right.
I'm doing Indio. I'm doing Pomona. I'm pretty much doing everywhere. I'm doing one out in Rancho Cucamonga.
Okay, so
they're all over.
Yeah, no, I hear you, and I think that the idea that someone can get into a house now without paying anything through this Cal HAFA program, is there anything special that Cal HAFA requires other than what you've described here as your requirements? Meaning that, is there a requirement for them? Do you have to register? Do you have to take a course? How does that work?
Yes, you will have to take a course with them, but you want to take that course. You want to know about the program. You want to kind of know what you're getting into.
Right.
Absolutely, yes. That's pretty much their only thing, is that they want you to take their 8-hour course, which can be done online or in person.
Now, that 8-hour course, it teaches about debt, it teaches about mortgage payments, how it works, making sure that you have enough reserves, that kind of thing?
Absolutely. Manage your finances. I mean,
Right.
They're not going to tell you what to do, but they're going to guide you, let you know, hey, you know what, if Timmy needs a new car, maybe he'd be better off with a used car right now.
We find a lot of programs that are useful for people, but one of the tough things is to get people not to spend while they're in the process of getting a loan. Like you mentioned the car thing, right? Your car breaks, you're trying to get a house loan, but you see that new or that semi-new truck down at the corner that you want to go buy, and you just can't help yourself. How does this affect someone like that who basically says, hey, you know what, I've got to buy this new truck while I'm getting the loan? Does it affect them in terms of...
Well, it will affect them, but we have, on the Cal HAFA, our back-end ratio has to be no more than 45. So we're capped at 45. So if you're a little lower than that and don't have a lot of debt, and it's not going to hurt you too bad, I wouldn't say no to you. I would say, I would think about it twice before getting into debt right now. But if we're tight, and if we have debt already, and we're right at that ceiling, I would definitely discourage you from doing anything until we're done with the loan.
Hey, so someone has a question about that, because I know people just can't stop themselves sometimes. What's the best way to get a hold of you if they need a question answered?
Oh, you can always give me a phone call at 323-228-5181, or as you know, they can always get a hold of you, Jeff, and you got the number right to my heart.
Okay, thank you very much. And how are you fixed for your own vacation this year? Where are you heading?
I think this year we're going to go. Well, we have a plan to go to Hawaii this year, but I don't know. My little girl is playing softball, so I think we're going to be doing a whole lot of tournaments.
Oh, you know what? You bring up a good point. When you're a father and you've got a demanding job, obviously, as you do, spending time with your kids, how do you balance that with your work?
Luckily, everything is you can commute doing everything. So I got a phone that I always answer. I got a laptop that I'm always answering questions and emails and files on.
Right.
So as long as I have Wi-Fi and I have internet access, I am great to go. I can answer anything, anywhere, anytime.
Thanks very much, Tomas, for being on the show once again. You always save me when I need a terrific guest. Thank you.
Absolutely, Jeff. Whenever you need me, I'm always here.
Thank you very much. And that's Thomas Trujillo from Lone Stream, and I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry, and we'll see you next time.
You're listening to The Mortgage Voice with Jeff Barton. For more on today's topic, visit www.malibufunding.net.